Yes, folks, hello and welcome along once again to the Left Wing Back live. And we are in association with fitnessformulas.ie this evening. So thanks very much to them for getting in touch with us and showing us a little bit of support. You can contact them on their Instagram page. They also have a new website launched, fitnessformulas.ie, an online coaching platform who offer tailored training programs to suit your goals for any level, ranging from beginners to elite athletes. They give structured programs delivered to your phone each week, so you have workouts to follow in the gym, and cuts out all the guesswork. And thanks again to Shane Clark for getting in touch with us there, and the best luck to them with the new venture. As you said, the website is fitnessformulas.ie. Right, we have a ton of stuff to go through. Just a reminder, as always, that you can get in touch with us. Send in your comments. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. I think we're live on Twitter. We'll check it out in a moment's time. And if not, we'll pop the link over onto that from YouTube. But if you comment underneath the post, we should be able to bring those up on the screen. We have had a few technical glitches over the last few weeks with some of those comments, and it's only afterwards we get to see them. But don't be afraid to send them in. Lots of topics of discussion over the last week or two, and even more so in the last few hours, because there's been a new relegation format to talk about as well. So don't be afraid to get in touch with us, as we said. Joined as always by Mr. Christy Bulger. How are you going, Christy? Screen is black there. That's not too promising. Maybe it'll appear in a second. Tommy Wogan is there. We can hear Christy. We can't see him. Can we see?
No, I can see myself.
Hold on now. We can hear you anyway. Let's try this again. All right. I don't know, Stevie, Tommy, can you see Christy there?
Yeah, I can see him all right.
Oh, that's fine. Right, we'll roll.
I can't see him. I can now.
There
he's there.
Come on. Now he's after repairing. So we have a full fleet. I said there could be technical glitches. We have had a few over the last number of weeks. But gentlemen, how are you all keeping?
All good.
All right.
Good stuff. And I'm a little bit healthier than what it was this time last week too, and we're raring to go. So none of us will have to do too much talking tonight because we have a wagon load of clips. I want to say thanks to John Nolan for giving us access to those. We have highlights of the Junior Football Championship final, and we have highlights of the Intermediate Football Championship final. We'll go through goals and different moments in the game that we want to highlight in both games, I should say. And we haven't a whole lot from the senior games. We have a highlight reel of fantastic goalkeeping from the Palatine, well, it's the Rangers game. But unfortunately, I don't have video of the Bindingstown and Ryland game. Stevie, I believe you said on Twitter that you saw the greatest score ever in Netwatch Cullen Park from Jamie Clark. So maybe just give us a word on that before we delve into the action.
Yeah, and maybe if we prone to a bit of exaggeration, but there was, I think, 6 or 7 minutes. Yeah, there was 6 or 7 minutes left, or we're probably 4 or 5 points up at the time, and typical Jamie burst in with the ball and was into a cluster. Ended up there was about 6 lads in a. He was at the ruck of the scrum. Someone got up at the ball. I don't know whether he lost it on the ground, got back up again, turned around in 2 or 3 seconds, and over the bar, over his shoulder. It was just, it was kind of, it was worth. Lads were giving up the €15 there to be getting in for 2 games. A piece of skill like that now was worth it in the low now. If you were like it was just a score you never forget you seen it, and as I said, it's a pity there's not a clip of it. It's unfortunate it was lost for all time, but it was a cracking score, like, and you know Jamie, the way he plays, like, it's 100 mile an hour, and there was no one getting the ball off him, and he up and a shot and over the bar, like, it was just was savage.
He made great space for the tight space he was in, and the amount of players that were around him.
Yeah,
I don't know how he got that shot off.
No right to it.
First low centre of gravity. Do you know, he's very much like that. But if anyone does have a clip of that, lads, send it over. Pop it to us in a message there. We'll share it on social media. We'd like to see that. Imagine all the work we're after doing here to try to get these clips together. And the best score we've ever seen now at Cullen Park, we don't have it. But look, we've a good bit more to go through. We'll go into those senior games in a little while, lads, and we'll talk about the senior format because we do have a new relegation format, all of a slap, and it is a major talking point. We've had a few comments that have been sent into us as well regarding that. And we'd like to, people that have, I suppose, got in touch with us would like to get your thoughts. So we will do that. And as we said, if anyone else wants to get in touch, send us a message. Just comment and read the post on Facebook, YouTube, and as I said, we should be on Twitter as well. So we'll start with the junior final, lads. Grange 213, Tinryland 2 points, and Stevie, it was a first for the left wing back. We had live and exclusive commentary as well. Very impromptu, I must say. But I don't think we were expecting a game as one-sided as that. Like, I know. I don't feel too bad actually about tipping Mice now because Tommy picked 10 Ireland and he scored 2 points. So first blow in, Tom. You'll get your retaliation in later on, I'm sure. But I don't think anyone could have seen it, in fairness. 2-13 for 2 points. It was just sublime, I suppose, from Grange, and Ireland just didn't show up. But Grange were 100% on it. And Stevie, I suppose we knew that was in Grange. We all knew that was in Grange, lads. Do you know what I mean? But they produced it on the day when it mattered the most, didn't they, Stevie?
Yeah, and I'd say the Loughlin game the week before brought him on, I suppose, like a racehorse, brought him on, you know, they had been cruising the games up to that, the 2 games, and they got a walk over. I'd say that Loughlin game, they looked at the scoreboard end of that, look, just was only 2 points in this, lads. You know, the goal for 3 minutes with John Murphy, I think that had 8 shots maybe before they kicked the wide, and the other end then Ireland couldn't buy a score, like, you know, free taken. There was near a gimme of a free in front of the goal to get the scoreboard ticking over, and there were frees out the second corner flag, or, you know, there were just nothing to get him going at all. And, you know, just John Murphy, county player, you know, we're looking at him for the last 10-15 years, and I said it at the time, you get the county final, especially a rural club, they need their county men doing the work of probably 3 men, and the rest of them pulling in a shift as well. And by God, like, what he got 2-8, you know, he could say he's one-man band, but like, I think he got 2-8.
He actually scored 2-9. He actually scored 2-9.
2-9, yeah. Like, that's...
Well, no, you're right with 2-8, but there was a point he scored, was disallowed. But I was in line with it, and it was between the posts. I don't know how the flag it wide. It was a point.
Right.
So he had a 100% record as shooting, like, you know.
Like, that's phenomenal scoring any grade of football. And so, no, we're looking at him, we're taking for granted. But like, he broke tackles, like the Shane O'Neill one, the first goal. He kind of, I don't know whether Shane was kind of blocked off. It wasn't a free, but the whole place opened up, like, and he went straight down. Second goal, Parry Townsend, in fairness to him, done his best, but like, he was giving away a amount of size, and just John flicked him away, carried it in, gave it 1-2 with Alan Fleming. Ball in the back of the net, and that was the end of that. It was probably over at that stage anyway.
John's motto is the shortest route to goal is a straight line, and on both
it's lovely to see that. Yeah,
it's just
great to see
straight
that.
on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially
he didn't move off.
No, and he's free taking, like, he was kicking frees.
Oh.
Right, you might say there's 2 or 3 of them handy in the first half. They were 30 metres out, still to be kicked over the bar, and they were over the black spot every time. And that was setting the tone for Ireland, you know, and I suppose Ireland, for a second team too, they've had a tough run to the final. You know, the drew with Loughlin the last day. The Loughlin game was 45 minutes of that now was tough enough to beat who would beat the semi-final? Ballin.
12-8.
Yeah, you know, probably, you know, with a second team, they were probably looking, you know, they needed a good start to goal for 3 minutes, not John Murphy for Grange to be scoring. And we're very impressed with Grange. We did look at the programme after. The Grange team, like, there's a border on experience, or they're a bit like Kilbride, I suppose. They have, you nearly know who to have. They're a regular standard 15, early over 18 any day. Like John Murphy, where he was 33 or 4, but there's a lot of lads there have a lot of football played, but there's still a bit more than I'd say looking at him last Saturday.
There is.
Look at Kieran Pender in at full forward. I mean, like, you know, they absolutely love him out in Grange. Like, you know, when he got the point, like, the stand was roaring, like, you know. But isn't it great though? Like Kieran Pender, Alan Fleming was very unlucky not to get a goal. They hit the the post and came back out, like, you know.
But I'll tell you what, Tom, I'll jump across you. I'll play the highlights here and with the commentary, and then we'll do some analysis of it. All right, so let's just roll this on here, as Blake Aborn would say.
Gives it off to John Murphy. John Murphy's going in. It's very hard to take John Murphy down. Going again himself. Straight at the back of the net for John Murphy. Goal for Grange in the first 3 minutes. He's given the big long pass. Fleming has it. Will it? And it is not a goal. Looked like it was in, but bounced back out. Tinryland done very well now to secure the ball back out. They're looking to go forward. Looks like it could have been a free given, but ref says play on. Has given the ball to Fleming, and John is looking for the goal, and it is in the back of the net again by John Murphy. 2 goals from John Murphy already today. He's playing outstanding.
Yeah, and again, look, it's not unlike.
Yeah, so there you have it. That's just a little flavour of the action, lads. But there's a couple of little things I'd like to highlight in that. Now, just with the Alan Fleming goal chance, that was an unbelievable move. That just in the highlight package, it didn't show where the move actually kind of started from, right? But they worked that the whole way up the field, and the ball ended up on the terrace side out on the left, and it was kind of one of those backdoor passes where, remember Gannon gave one Tommy to Danny Moore and again Wexford a few years ago for the county, and he
That's right, yeah.
I thought it was a similar move to that, because the pass in by I think it was Paddy Hickey literally took out 3 or 4 defenders, as you can kind of see, and he was very unlucky not to put that away. But that was just one example of unbelievable movement by the forwards, but great play as well by Grange in attack. Like, I thought, even mixing it up through the hands and delivering a quick ball in. I suppose if we were to look at it, it's a pity we don't have the wide angle view, but I felt there was an awful lot of space in front of both full forward lines on commentary. Now, Tinryland at times couldn't get on the ball, first of all, but when they did, couldn't get the head up to see the space inside. I thought that was a big detriment to theirs. But Grange identified that there was space in there and hit it in early, and they made hay. I just thought they were superb. But look, we'll pull up the highlights and we'll have you lads go through it. If we can just grab it on the other side here. All right, so here we go. So obviously this is John's goal, and like we kind of touched on it early, lads. I mean, this is really a tone setter, right? So he breaks the 45, and yes, there is space there, and that's kind of backing up what I was kind of saying to you. But he goes for the juggler. He says, I'm going to hit these early on. And Tommy, you said it. He goes straight down the pipe. And look, he has a quick look where the goalie is. Niall Barrett moves slightly to his right, and then Murphy tucks it down. Look at it now slowly. See Barrett just shifting, and Murphy got the head up and tucks it away. Like, that's pure class. This is the chance I was talking about. That was the pass that took out 3 or 4 defenders, and a shame, that he didn't get to finish it off. Did everything right, in fairness. Went around and hit the post and just came back out, whatever. And the next chance here. So just previously, and this is another thing, Stevie, we picked up on, Porrick Townsend spent an awful lot of time in defence, and he's a guy you don't want in the half back line. You want him up around, he wears 13, was playing corner forward, or supposed to play corner forward the other day. We know him as a kind of a playmaker, but he was spending most of the game in his half back line. But John Murphy ships the tackle here, or shakes off the tackle, and he senses again that there's a goal coming here. And at this moment, lads, Tinryland have actually, they've got a couple of points under their belt. They didn't score till the 37th minute, and they got 2 points in the space of a minute. And they were starting to just, I won't say get a foothold, but they were getting possession. And then John senses a goal scoring opportunity again. And for me, this was obviously, the game was near enough over as it was. That just put the nail in the coffin. There was no coming back from that. Game over. See you later, and Grange are the champions. I don't know what you thought, lads, but I was just mesmerised by Grange.
If you look at both of them clips for the goal, is what I've been talking about. In a lot of games, you see guys picking up a ball like that, and they're gone to the side. They're moving over to the side. They're moving side to side. He went at it. He took the guy on. You take a guy on with a bit of pace, he can break that tackle. It creates havoc. And on both occasions, that's what he done. He took the guy on. Now, he's physically big, strong chap, and he's well able to take a hit if it comes from him. But he rode the tackles very, very well, and then ended up finishing it off.
Yeah, super stuff. Christy, what do you think of that one?
I wasn't in at the game, unfortunately. It was the only one I missed this weekend. But looking at the clips, it's gas. We're talking about coaching things and that last week. That'd be something that some teams are passing that or whatever. But if teams work in unison and they go and they make defenders buy, lads, it will open up. There'll be space for other people, and I just it's great to see John knew there was space and he went for it, and the give and go as well is just exceptional, because 3 lads come out to get the ball, but it's just popped in behind, and John knows what to do when he gets in that situation as well. It's brilliant goals.
Yeah, super stuff indeed. Now, after the game, we did have a chat with John Murphy and Paddy Hickey. I think you're going to stay on the screen for this, lads, and your microphones will be on, so don't get me sued is all I'm saying. We're still here in the corner, all right? There we go. A nice little ring to it.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, delighted to get the win. I suppose when we did get relegated, we were disappointed, very disappointed. We felt we weren't at that standard, and last year Tulla beat us on penalties here, and then this year then was all about getting back up and getting a run of results. I suppose we started off 2 games again, O'Loughlin and Éire and they were weaker, but I thought I know we put up big scores, but we were playing well, and then I suppose Loughlin Bridge nearly caught us, and that was kind of our learning curve then, and trained well during the week, and Loughlin Bridge game kind of focused the mind and got off to a good start then today, and kind of rolled in then after that.
Big time. When you went for the jugular from the get-go, in fairness, 3 minutes in, you saw a little gap and you went for it, you got the goal, and sure, that was the catalyst that got things going, I suppose, and Tinryland just weren't at the races today, but ye hammered, and at the same time in the second half there, when you won that ball, Point Townsend, I think, was dragging out, you sensed there was a goal on, and I think that just killed it off altogether. So there was a ruthless side to Grange today.
There was, yeah. No, the key was for us to start well, and the goal kind of was crucial to that, so we knew that if we had a chance we were going to go for it. And yeah, it opened up for me, and thanks for the God, by the way. But yeah, it was all about a good start then and kind of keeping it going. And like Tinryland got off, had the ball for the first few minutes and dropped ball into the goalie's hands, and I think we went down the field and got the goal off it. And it is small little things kind of makes it happen, and thankfully it was on our side today.
It's bad, like last year you were so close, and that game against Tulla obviously was a big thing this year for you, and 3 years ago you were nearly going senior. You're going to go up intermediate now, and based on that today you're going to have a right cut at.
Yeah, well, we'll see now. Age profile team wouldn't be great. I think I'm the second youngest, and starting 6 forwards, I'm the second youngest, so it's not a great age profile or anything. But yeah, we'll see. Keep trucking on anyway for another while.
And apart from enjoying the next few days, a nice little crack at Leinster will be anticipated. I think you had the League champions.
Is it League champions? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's for another couple of weeks anyway. So we'll put the feet up now this week and see how it goes.
Last word, just the speech there was fairly memorable.
Yeah, no, Hickey, in fairness to him, now it wouldn't be shy, so he was good now, yeah, fair play to him.
Well, John, you're soldiering long and hard, delighted for you. Enjoy the next few days, and thanks for speaking to us, alright?
No problem, Kevin, thanks very much.
Yeah, an unbelievable servant. Really, really happy for John, like, do you know what I mean? Really happy for him. And Paddy Hickey now, we'll hear from him as well, the captain. Paddy Hickey, congratulations. Grange captain, memorable speech, and yeah, you enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no, it was good now. Well, in fairness, I thought after the semi-final it kind of gave us a good kick where we wanted it before the final, in fairness. But we were expecting a really tough game today with Tinryland, but I think at the start of the game it really fell our way. They probably missed a few easy scores from that would have kept them within touch. And I don't know, maybe after 15 minutes and then getting to half time, probably we were just too far ahead and their heads kind of dropped. But look, listen, Tinryland have got to the last 2 junior A finals, so it's a credit to them. Like, and I'm sure they'll be back there again next year.
The one thing we were saying there, we said to John Murphy, and we said it on the commentary, was he went for the jugular each time, like only 3 minutes in. That was a lovely move, and John finished it off. And again, in the second half, Tinryland were showing signs of maybe, like, I don't think they're going to test you at that point, but they were showing signs of getting back into it slightly. Yeah. Kicked a couple of points, right? And then John sensed there was a goal on again, and it was a lovely move, and that literally killed him off. Like, so that ruthless streak I thought was there.
Yeah, and in fairness, I thought that's what we were missing in the semi-final, maybe, that we didn't take the couple of goal chances that were on offer. Like we hit the crossbar, we maybe missed a few one-on-ones, and that's what we said today coming out. We said if we get a chance today, bury the goal. And in fairness, in the first half, I thought Alan could have had another goal, but we were probably comfortable enough at that stage anyway. But no, I thought definitely I'd agree with you there. The ruthless streak was definitely there again. Yeah,
that was actually a good move as well for Fleming's chance.
It was, yeah, it was, yeah. I thought we put together some very good moves today. Now, in fairness, I think everyone who was out there, we were all just, the preparation this week seemed to be really good. We had a really good training session Wednesday. Lads were hitting each other, and there was a few lads had a few words together. But that's what you want before a championship final,
And it's funny, before the start of the championship, we said, this Podroni fella, he's a soccer man. Jeez, he's a GM after today anyway.
Yeah, no, and a few lads, I used to play for him at Parkfield there back a few years ago too, and he was all soccer. He never wanted to talk about GA, but in fairness, we've switched allegiance to him now, in fairness, this year. Last 2 years. In fairness to him last year as well, he was there all year and he's had great interest, and he's there and especially actually I bring back to when we played O'Loughlin in the first round. It was a torrential downpour, and he was out putting out cones. Well, all of us were shivering in under the stand, waiting to go out. And in fairness to him, his heart is in it, and it's been in it for the last 2 years.
I'll double this up. One thing I'd always say about Grange is there's character, but there's characters as well. And I tell you one thing, you wouldn't want to be leaking a whole lot on social media next few days, because there's some buckos in there, and you're going to have some party.
I tell you, there's been a talk about that now. There's a Snapchat ban tonight, and there'll be no video evidence of anything that goes on in Walsh's Cross today.
Well, man, well, listen, enjoy it. I'm glad to see us back up. You're going to have a right quad as well, and a right quad Leinster. The League champions, I think, in a few weeks' time. So, yeah, that'll be tasty. But we won't be thinking about that for the next few days. So enjoy those, all right? And thanks for speaking to us. All right, Paddy?
Brilliant, Kevin. Thanks very much.
There you go, Paddy Hickey, another character. Played against Paddy the whole up along as well. I think he's a year younger than me and very good left foot, like, in order. So that's the story of that, lads. Any last thoughts before we move on to the intermediate final? You happy enough?
Are they still alive?
I think they're still out there today anyway, and who knows? Maybe they're tuned into us live somewhere out Kildare direction. But yeah, Jenny Mac, incredible, and they'll have a right coat Leinster, I think. They'll have a right coat.
Well done to them anyway.
Yeah,
great achievement. Yeah,
fantastic stuff. So let's move on to the intermediate final. Airog 3-11, Navan 7 points. Jenny, Navan was a great prediction for this. No, we're giving you a stick, Tommy, about predicting Tinryland, but look, to me, I don't think Navan really troubled Airog in this game, which was disappointing on county final day. Like with 22 or 3 minutes gone, I think it was 3 points to 1, and then when it was 4 points to 1, Philip Smithers got black carded, and I felt in that 5, 6, 7 minutes before half time, that's where Airog really pushed on. Like, I think they were dominant enough before that, but they weren't really putting on the scoreboard because was there maybe 20 minutes gone before Navan even got a point. But when Philip Smithers went, Morta Ware and Shane Buggy, in my opinion, lorded the skies, and Navan just couldn't get the hands on the ball really. And from there on, even when Smithers came back on in the second half, Airog just controlled the game. And as we'll see from some of the post-match interviews, like, I probably put a bit of doubts over the Chaps last week, right? Because I forced Adult Championship final, and it was the Chaps that led the way in the end, in my opinion. And I was so impressed with them, really, really impressed with them. I thought Buggy in the middle of the field, absolutely powerful. And we have a couple of clips that he's involved in a few minutes' time. McCarran's free taking technique and how he executed everything there the other day was brilliant. Crotty's finishing, Nolan down at the back. These are kind of the chaps we're talking about. And then, like, Dean Hayden's been around a little bit longer, but he was so good at centre back as well. I couldn't speak highly enough of them again. So Chris, I'll start with you on this one.
I kind of said it last week that look out for the Chaps because they're the ones that have they know there's a big prize at the end of it waiting for them as well, and that's a call up to go battling with senior lads as well. And like you said, Shane Buggy's immense, lads. He's thick, tough. He let down a few markers there, on and off the ball. He just didn't give anybody an inch. Anybody that came near him, he manned up big time. But then you put that toughness aside, he's matched it with skill. He has vision. He's just a great reader of the game, and that's kind of not too common these days. Mark Bean, Adam Nolan, backline, top class. Really good footballers. Evan Kelly's loads of speed. Ben Crotty, you said, into forwards. McCarran, really good. Has a little baby draw with them with his free taking. But then, like, I thought, like, it was great as well having Derek in the full forward line where the boys kind of, and even Derek tricking as well, kind of kept eyes on him, and eyes were taken off Ben Crotty, kind of, where lads were looking inside at Derek rather than looking at the little lad in here that's a take on anything. Dean Hayden, very unassuming, but by God, has he had some few weeks, boy. He's great at holding six. And then, as you said, like, I just thought Morta was immense. Like, it just, you don't see the long kickouts going into midfield too often in matches now, where the other day it was long, and Morta won 90% of it. No, I thought it was good. I thought it was actually a good, like, from an Euro point of view, they moved the ball well, they played kind of calmly, they knew when to inject the pace, and then they were well able to manage the game as well. Like, there was never any panic buttons pressed or anything like that. So a big performance. And I said to you, Kev, there yesterday, a lot of them lads won nothing coming up. So this means something to them now in a big way. So it'd be interesting to see what's around the corner for them.
Yep. Tommy, do you want to try your Topins word, or will I play the highlights first?
Yeah, play the highlights if you want to.
Right, okay. Well, our mics are off for this one.
Back in again, the man we hit now is James Root. They're all trying to buy time. The man we did left half back,
Evan Kelly.
Are the brothers?
They're brothers, yeah.
Yeah, they're brothers.
Some
He
ball
sends
from
in
young
a great
Buggy.
ball, and there could be a low one on here, and it is on.
Ben Crotty.
Ben Crotty. Who sent it in there, Andy? The man that sent it in just happened to catch him.
Derek Hayden, I think.
Derek Hayden, it would take him, but he just happened to catch him running loose for that split second.
Unstoppable. The keeper had no chance.
The keeper had no 29 minutes gone there. 1-6 for Air Rogue. The full field is being played anyway. That's
full,
one.
yeah.
Air Rogue on the attack again. There could be danger here for the Navon men. There has to be, is the man with
Ben Crotty.
Ben Crotty with his second goal. Ben Crotty with his second goal.
That came from nothing there.
But look, there a few minutes ago, that could have been a goal for Navon.
Tommy, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, like when they come in, your body reacts and you loosen the grip on the ball.
Yeah.
And that's the icing on the cake for the era Oakman, as Adam McCann scored the goal there, and he has scored 1-6, and that has just on that.
Yeah, Shane Buggy, who put in the first ball there, and Tommy or Andy said Derek Hayden. The boys are around the same age, aren't they? I'm only joking. And what about Derek and Shane now, sarcastically, just in case anyone thinks. I want about Tommy and Andy. I have great time for Tommy and Andy. But yeah, it was a super ball in fairness. So I want to actually kind of highlight that, if that's okay. So I'll bring it back up here again. Like, there's a couple of things going on here which we should highlight. Like, the pass is absolutely extraordinary. But the movement from Ben Crotty as well, you barely catch it now in the top left-hand corner. I'll pause it slightly. See him here? I'll hover the mouse over it. I don't know if you can see the mouse or not, but just top left, this is where he is, right? Buggy just stops for a moment, and then Crotty sees the gap in behind. But that's precision passing as well, and what a finish.
Yeah.
Do you know what's with the finish? A very, very little backlift on his. He just made sure he was getting contact. He didn't pull back his foot up to his arse to kick it. He just put his foot. He placed it.
Yeah, but he's playing with his head up, lads. He's playing with his head up, and his vision. His vision is something else, like, you know. And this is
Tommy,
what we were talking about in the previous.
Sorry,
we were talking about this in the previous clips, like, you know, about, you know, when a guy gets a ball, he automatically looking to go to the side or pass it sideways and all that. Young Buggy had his head up. When he got onto the ball, he was playing with his head up. He had the vision to see Crotty moving inside and placed the perfect ball into his running path. He just went one hop and it was into his hands, and he just finished it superbly. And I'm very impressed with Crotty the last couple of games. He reminds me of Muckle Keaton, like, you know, when he gets an opportunity, he'll finish it. You know.
Tommy, just with that clip, what I see is two lads that know each other inside out. And like, Buggy knew if he was going to land that pass, that Ben had committed to the run. That's why Buggy was able to give the pass, because he trusted that Ben was moving into that space, and that's where they had to land it. Like, Jesus, it was brilliant. It was outstanding pass.
That's something comes from the field as well, lads. Like, we spoke about it. Like, you know, how many times have we over the last couple of weeks we've seen forwards making runs inside but not getting the ball? You know, I mean, outside, you know, if you get your head up, you know, always have your head up, scan the inside, and if the player is making the move for you, give him the ball, put it into him, right? If you lose it in there, you still have your share, you know.
I want to Tommy, I want to get your thoughts on this, and Christy as well. Like, having, you know, you're doing a good bit of coaching. The position of the Aerogue forwards here as well, right? So a lot of them are obviously playing a good bit away from goal. Is this a deliberate ploy to check back in on the run? Like, is this something that they would have worked on, right? So if you look at it here, look at all that space. Like, generally you'll have someone literally sitting in here in front of the goalkeeper, but everyone is outside the D at this point, which makes that space inside. And we'll roll
but
here
if you look at
where Derek is.
Yeah.
Right? Look where Derek is. I'll just bring it back here, and hopefully it moves in the correct motion. But this seems to me like a very good dummy run by Derek Hayden on the right-hand side. See, he's making that space. He's supposed to be full forward, and now it's open. See?
Yes. But Kevin, the thing is, I often spoke to guys playing in the forwards, like in mind, to open up the front of the goal for yourself. Don't be positioning yourself in front of the goalkeeper where you're making a straight line run out to collect the ball, which you have to turn and come back. Whereas what young Crotty done or Derek done was he emptied out the full forward or the full back with him. He let Crotty over in the far corner. So when the ball came in, Crotty was picking the ball up, heading towards the goal. He didn't have to twist or turn. He got into his running path and he just finished it off. And that's a sign of a very good forward. Like, that can leave that space open for himself, that once the ball is popped in there, he's not twisting and turning and having the lad swinging over his back. He's in the running path straight away and he's into the goal. That's something that has to be coached in the field. Like, many times we see guys coming out from the goal and they come out and stay coming out and they're out of the score zone when they collect the ball. He's in the score zone. He only had to take one touch of that ball and it was in the back of the net. Mm-hmm. That's just perfect. That's textbook stuff.
So the mad thing about him as well is that he would have spent a lot of time as a defender and a midfielder. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's been forward kind of high up along. He's versatile, this chap, like, in fairness, and he's making it look like he's only played a forward. That's the mad thing.
Yeah, but that's the modern game now. Like, you have to be able to adapt your game. You have to be able to change your game. Like, I go back to Benny Cavan. I remember we had Benny Cavan in the early days. Benny was a forward. He was a forward, and I remember him coming to me in Carlow one time, he was struggling to get into the team, and we just said about playing in the backs. Play in the backs for a while and see how you get on there, So it's about adapting, being able to adapt your and switch your game. Don't closet yourself off. I'm only a corner back, or I can only play a corner forward. No, play every position. And fair play to young Crotty. He's a great finisher.
Equally with this buggy chap, I would say a centre back by trade. Yeah, I would say a natural centre back by trade. But has deputised in the absence of Kyle O'Byrne. And this point is just so good. Look at this. Little dummy, little shimmy, regains control, and off the left end, pops it.
Yeah, but isn't it lovely though, Kevin? Isn't it nice to see a young lad like that being allowed to express himself, to show his ability, to show his skill, and I would encourage that. That's what I would love to see in guys. That not be afraid to have a go, or if you make a mistake, so what? Next ball, get to the next ball, and that's what I want to see. That's what I like to see in players. Not being afraid to express yourself, to have a go. And I spoke about this in the previous clips about if you're picking up a guy, you need to know what's in him, and the only way you know what's in him is by taking him on. But if you don't take a guy on, you're never going to know what's in him. So in fairness to Bogey, in fairness to Crotty, in fairness to McCarron and all these boys, they're not afraid to take you on.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, and just another asset to McCarron's game, like McCarron scored a 1-1 from play, but he's free taking. I want to just highlight this, just the technique, and again, how calm the chap is. He was flawless the whole day. And this is not really suitable for a left foot free taker as such, just nice and easy, strokes over the bar. And I know you lads have been talking about these chaps for the last number of weeks, and you see them because they're from their club. But for me, that was my first time seeing a lot of them in the adult ranks. I would have saw them underage and stuff, but I can't believe the maturity in their play. And fair play to them, So we'll get some post-match audio, lads. Again, your microphones will be on for these. It's just the way we're sharing. There's different ways of sharing on this yoke. We'll hear from Murta Ware here first. I'll start off with two things. Number one, there was some gobshite in the podcast that predicted Michael, and number two, it was me. No, it wouldn't have been them any, of course. But listen, all joking aside, well done, a great win, a super performance, lad.
Brilliant. That's coming from us all year, Kevin. We really didn't show what we were about in the group games. We won the league here, and after that, we kind of made it hard for ourselves. We lost our first two games, only by a point and 2 points. We got it together against Clonmore, struggled over Tullow, but got there. and from last week on, second half we really kicked on. So it's a great group of lads, great young lads. The future is looking very good for Airlock.
Yeah, and even on the pod during the week, we were talking about maybe how big this was for the young lads, and they nearly led the line in the end when you look at it. Like,
we're looking at them all year. We're getting the ball, we're giving it to them, and they're doing the rest. You see the goals that went in there at the end. The boys carrying ball up the field. They've been immense all year, and they'll all go on to senior, most of them at least, and fucking carry on from there.
Well, OENF on the podcast, we're liberal enough, but in general, it's mad how the championship worked. You were a kick of a ball away from maybe relegation, and now you're intermediate champions just like that.
A couple of minutes left, we were junior A next year, and Clonmore were top in the group, and very hard on them to go down like that, considering they were a very good team. The group we're in was very strong, and look, ourselves and Michael end up in the final. One of us had to win it, and thank God it was us.
Well, listen, I'd like if you on a personal level, you were on a fair journey yourself. You were away for a while, you were back, and then I'm back again. And what's the story? How long are you back, and what's the story? And are you staying back?
Staying back. Back since during the summer there now. A bit of senior, a bit of intermediate. Hopefully have a senior semi-final to prepare for next week. So look, it's all go.
Isn't it? Well, listen, enjoy the celebrations, Mark. Great to have a chat with you, alright?
Cheers.
Worth aware there. Now James Root next, lads. See a very pro captain and a great speech.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. Yeah, no, delighted. As I said, it was a long time coming. It was 14 years since I was part of the panel there 14 years ago, and I've played every year since, I think, in intermediate football a game, and I finally delighted I won it. So, brilliant.
And I'd say you would have coached a good few of those chaps that you won a championship with there tonight, would you, at different stages maybe?
Once or twice, yeah, over the years, yeah. I'm involved in minors now. I took them over under 14, so I'm kind of with that group for the last 4 or 5 years. But so once or twice with the other lads. So, but no, it's brilliant, absolutely fantastic.
And a nice little transition. You said 14 years trying to win one. It was very much soccer before that, because you were in goal on a great New Oak team with the likes of Niall Hogan and the boys. And I used to go to them games with Figgy and stuff. So look, football hasn't treated you too badly since. You've a good few medals racked up. I know you're saying this is the first one here or whatever. You're on senior panels as well, and sure, hasn't worked out too bad, has it, Jimmy?
No, especially senior for the last 5 years, or 4 years now, we're after going very well, and the Leinster campaign's been fantastic, and to be a part of that is a huge experience, I suppose. But being involved is the main thing, I suppose, and I get great try out of these lads, because as I said, being an intermediate team, you'd be flying at one stage, next thing you lose your 1 or 2 of your main players, and then you're in the semi-final, then you're missing for a final or whatever. So it is tough. So delighted for the lads that have been here, and we got there eventually. So fantastic.
As I was saying to Marta there, small margins, like you were kicking a ball from being relegated, now you're champions.
100%, yeah. And the last couple of games we've been kicking the ball in as well, like, so we're very lucky, like, so, and that's football for you, and that's why we love it so much, because it's so unexpected and you don't know what's going to happen next. So it's been brilliant.
And a big lift for the seniors now, no doubt.
Yeah, it will be now, in fairness, because they're after giving a lot of commitment to fairness to us by just having a panel of 19 players at the moment, and so I trained with them Tuesday night, and they only had 17 there, like, so now it's fantastic. They can take who they want from this team, and they're in brilliant performance there from Shane Buggy and Crotty and McCarran, and all those lads now put their hand forward now as well to go forward and hopefully give Carlow a win, and then take it from there and see what happens, hopefully.
Enjoy the victory, James, and thanks for talking to us, alright? That's the captain, James Root. Next up, Mr. Ben Crotty. Ben Crotty, I don't know if you're old enough to remember a wrestler called Scotty Too Hotty, but I think it's Crotty Too Hotty here tonight. I think it was 2-1 or 2-2 in the end. You must be delighted.
So I'm delighted now again, especially 2-2 here, and first ever medal for Airog. Been playing with them for the last 12, 13 years, and a couple of finals, and it's the only final that I've actually ever won. I'm absolutely delighted now, especially with this group of lads now. Such a good group of lads who've been thriving through, even with the start of the season with a couple of losses, still power back through to win this championship now today. It's an unbelievable feeling, I must say.
What were them boys in the podcast saying about them young lads on a big day? And I think they reacted fairly alright. You, a couple of goals, McCarran got a goal as well. And what sort of shite did we talk in that podcast at all?
I don't know. I wouldn't be listening to any of that now. Don't listen to any criticism. Only the good stuff that I listen to nowadays.
Listen, we'll be full of the good stuff now on Monday night, because that was a serious performance. All joking aside, like, and you blew them away in fairness. And sure, I'm sure you're buzzing.
Oh, I'm absolutely buzzing now. Can't wait to get back to the club now and really celebrate. Absolutely buzzing. Speechless nearly.
Good stuff. You did your talking on the field. Congratulations, Ben, and we'll chat to you again. All right, enjoy the celebrations. Good man, Crotty Too Hotty. And last but not least, Mr. Simon Ray. / mentor with this Airhawk intermediate team and champions. Maybe unexpectedly a few weeks back, nearly relegated, and now all of a sudden you hit form at the right time and you went on and won it. You must be thrilled, lad.
Delighted for the younger lads, really, Kevin. That's been honest with you. I came on board with them just at the end of the league, or after winning the league, and starting into a championship campaign. And to be fair, our first 2 games we could have won, but we lost by the minimum, and one of them was against Michael out in Fenna. We conceded 3 goals early against them, and we got it back to level, and then they kicked on and won the game, and then we'd a tussle with Clonmore out in Tullow. But I think that was the crowning of the younger lads. They really stepped up that day. The pressure was on. If we lost, we were relegated. But ever since that game, things have just clicked, and they've been an absolute pleasure to work with, Joy, with Kevin and Anthony and Burr, and they've bought into everything that we've said, and I think it showed, particularly in the last two games, the Fenny game and tonight. I think some of the movement, some of the forward play, quick hands really showed. But I'm overall delighted for because this is what Air Og's about, promoting young lads, and I think there could have been maybe 10 under 20s out there tonight, so it's fantastic for the future of the club.
And they stood up as well, like, I mean, that's what we were saying. How are they going to react on a big adult championship final day, which was the first for a lot of them out there? McCarran got a bag of scores, you know, scored a goal from play and scored a point from play and a heap of frees. Beautiful, sweet striker of a ball, actually, have to say. Something similar to yourself. And Crotty scored a couple of goals. Boogie, I thought, was powerful. All them boys stood up, like, and it was great to see, in fairness, especially on a big day when maybe there was question marks of them. Yeah,
and I thought actually some of them tonight were a little bit more calm than some of the senior lads. We were a little bit forceful early on, trying to kick long ball when it wasn't on, whereas we were better keeping it through their hands because Michael had a couple of men back. But Boogie, you single out those lads, like Boogie, McCarran, Mark Bean, corner back, absolutely fantastic. Their decision making, just their presence of mind when they're on the ball, doing the right thing with the ball, spatial awareness. But it bodes well for the club. I've no doubt in my mind if any of them lads want to step up to senior, they're well capable of doing it and applying themselves. Because obviously Rogue in the next couple of years will go through a transition. There's a lot of lads getting to the far side now, and this is what it's about. These 6 or 7 games that they're after playing will crown them going forward into the senior championship. But some of the intermediate games, in my eyes, I've been at a lot of games this year, Kevin. Some of the intermediate games have been way better than the senior. I think some of the senior games have been poor. They've been much better contested in the intermediate championship. That's just my own opinion, and that's why we've come through them tough battles last week against Fenna. We weren't fancy to come through it, and again tonight probably people tipping Avon, and we've come through it. So it's great for them boys.
If it is to be your last final on the field of play, I say congratulations. I don't know if it will be or not, what your intentions are, but you've put in some service there, Simon.
Yeah, well, listen, I had no intentions really at the start of the year. I was obviously after getting sick and I had COVID, and I was wiped, that's being honest with you, and then to just get back, I was playing a little bit of over 35 soccer, the foreign game, and actually got my fitness up through that. And Kevin rang me, keep in contact with me, and then I said, look, I'll give a dig out from a coaching side of things as well. I'm more than happy to do that, and I said, if you need to use me as a player, my services are there, and that's just the way it panned out. Listen, to be honest with you, I got 10-15 minutes last week and the same again tonight, and to be honest, I'm chuffed. I wasn't expecting it, but like, look, as I said, I'll see, as long as the body allows me to do whatever, you know, and we have a newborn on the way as well coming now in January, so that might curtail a lot of stuff, you know what I'm saying to you. So Tracy will decide what I do next year.
Well, listen, congratulations on that. You're like Gianluca Vialli, you look like him as well. But listen, in all seriousness, well done, and thanks for having a chat with us. Alright, and enjoy the celebrations.
No bother, thanks very much, Kevin, thanks a million.
There you are, great guy, Simon Ray. We heard from Ben Croy, we heard from James Root, more to wear as well. So any thoughts on the post-match, lads, or any comments there you'd like to make?
Well, look, we should really pay a bit of attention to Avon. Like some of the lads, Andy O'Brien, Adam Kenny in the middle of the field for them, like, you know, tried his heart out. Rev Smithers, Keith Hogan, and John Michael. Them boys tried their heart out for Michael. Like, you know, at the end of the day, it was a big deal for them to get to an intermediate final. And look, they didn't set out there to play that way, or you know, things just didn't happen for them on the day. Like, you know, but they get their best of it. Like, you know, and unfortunately, they come up against a very, very good Aero intermediate team. You know, so.
Yeah, I thought Michael Kavanagh was good. He had a very good tussle with Derek Hayden as well. Like, Michael Kavanagh's only, what's Michael Kavanagh for minor, about 21 or 2, maybe 23 at most, and Derek Hayden's around a long time, and that was, you know, I thought he did quite well in him, in fairness, man of his experience that he was up against. But yeah, just one of those days. So, do we go talk about formats now, lads, or do you want to wait till after we go through the 2 senior games? I know you are itching to talk about them. Sure, we'll jump straight into it because it's kind of dovetailing a little bit from what's after happening in the intermediate final. So why not? A nice little segue into it. So I don't know how many phone calls, texts, WhatsApps, messages on Instagram and Facebook and everything I got about what's happening. Are Michael going up? Is what's going on? Is there anyone coming down? And the truth is, I did not know no more than anyone. And I don't know. I can't say for definite, but I'd say there was a great hope that maybe Naomh Eoin were going to win and that it would solve the problem naturally. But obviously it didn't happen that way. So the solution that has occurred from that is Naomh Eoin aren't getting promoted. And instead, there's a bit of a rejig in terms of the relegation situation from senior. So what happens now is Ballinabrana are not automatically relegated. O'Loughlin are going to play O'Hanrahan's, and the losers of that game will play Ballinabrana in a relegation playoff final. And obviously then one team goes down, Ballinabrana or obviously O'Loughlin or O'Hanrahan's, where it transpires. Now, we're hearing rumours that game could be Friday, Stevie. I don't know if that's confirmed between O'Loughlin and O'Hanrahan's. Did you get any word, or is that just still pub talk?
No, that's the talk up here. No, it's not finalised yet. My views on it would be with COVID last year, with the PAL situation, with they were going to be thrown out of the champs because of COVID, then they weren't. I know this after changing, lads can say that this all thing should have been factored in the start of the year. It wasn't. I think it's the fair solution. Now, I know I have a hand in the O'Loughlin camp, as in an O'Loughlin player, ex-O'Loughlin player. Ballinabrana's over the road. From my point of view is, I think it's the fairest outcome at the minute. But like a meeting lads yesterday going in the gate, some lad said to me, "Yeah, my sure going up anyway. There's a precedent set." And I was saying to myself, "So like, whoever, if I'd been a close game or something, and if you're losing by 13 points in intermediate final, they're going to go up senior." I don't think that was ever going to happen. It wouldn't be. That was never on the cards. I don't think. But it's only when it was explained to me the other day that the intermediate relegation is not affected by it, as in there's one coming down from the senior, there's one coming up from the junior, so that means there's two has to go to intermediate, which then, the fighting Cox and Clonmore, right, like you could say one of them might have went last year and the other might have went this year in normal year. It's tough on them to see the two of them going down together without any playoff run. I know you can say really 3 games, you know the rules. That's why, at least it would have been tough to look at it another way from Ballinabrana point of view if they were to be relegated and score difference. That's not. I'm trying to look at this from a total kind of a neutral point of view, as in saying the same if it was an Air or Raphael or someone was relegated or whoever division that. Right, the rules have been changed. Ballinabrana were getting no chance, and O'Loughlin, the Blues, were getting a one-off chance. They're still getting their chance, but they're getting a second chance, and Ballinabrana are getting one more than they were getting. So, in my eyes, it's the fairest outcome of what they could have done, I think now.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to pick up on, Stevie, just before I come to the other two lads. So you're saying they knew the rules at the start of the year, but so did Ballinabrana, O'Loughlin, and the Blues, and now there's a rule change. So
that's true.
Can or should or can maybe from the point of view of maybe a Clonmore or the Fighting Cocks where they might feel aggrieved based on that. I think I'm still directly in the middle here now and just trying to juggle everything. But what I'm trying to say is, I think if Clonmore and the Fighting Cocks are aggrieved and whoever's going out with the grades below that again, I think you can have a little bit of understanding as to why they may be feeling that way. Is probably the best way of putting it. I don't think it's irrational for them to think that way. I think it's understandable. But yeah, so Christy, I'll jump to you next on it.
I think Stevie's after explaining it fairly well.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's the integrity of it that, like, this is the way it is set out, and now the goalposts have been shifted, and like then Ballinabrana get another chance and they're back in, and it's great to see them back in and have another crack at it, because you're looking at Ballinabrana and saying they probably kind of they probably would do well at senior, getting another crack at it again next year. Like, it really bring them on. It's just a tough one, but for me, when it just Airog aren't going up and Michael definitely aren't going up, it's just holding up the integrity of the competition that everybody signed up to play in, like, at the start. That's the only thing for me.
Tommy and Tad?
Yeah, look, I just feel sorry for the likes of Clanmore and that, and the Cox. It's very hard on them, But on the other side, with likes of O'Hanlon's and that, like, I mean, sure, like, them boys haven't been training or nothing, like, so it's going to be very hard on them to
Yeah, so Ballinabana definitely wouldn't have been training. Like the others, Ballinabana 100% wouldn't have been training anyway, so.
No, so it's a bit of a mess, like, but look, it is what it is now. You just have to move on, get on with it now,
Yeah, but I think overall, the bigger picture is, and it cuts out, I suppose, Christy, you speak about integrity, and Stevie's made the point, and they're all very valid points, and I agree with you on all those points, actually. The integrity thing, I agree on from the point of view of the best possible solution was probably given considering the circumstances. However, I have to illustrate the point again, which I've said in previous weeks, that all this becomes redundant if proper consideration is given at the start of the year. And by that, I mean, Airog always have a chance to win the Intermediate Championship. Every year, they always have a chance to win it. Yes, they haven't won it since 2007, as someone pointed out during the week. They were in a final 3 years ago, and they're never too far away from being in finals every year. So it's always a possibility. So I think, obviously, there's going to be, like, I'm aware there's volunteers, obviously, involved in these boards too, and I don't want to be too critical, but it should have been still sorted at the start of the year, and I have no doubt whatsoever that it will be sorted in future, and it won't happen again. But it kind of brings us into another issue, and again, if lads want to get in touch with us, drop us a comment, give us your thoughts on it. We put a poll last week, I think, on whether Naomh Eoin should be promoted automatically or not, and I think on Instagram it was something like 55-45 said no, and it wasn't exactly a 2/3 majority on Twitter either. It was very much up for debate. But again, it brings us back to structures, and we would have spoke about the possibility of going to 10 teams. Would that have been a consideration for the year that was in it, and considering the effects of last year, to put it to 10 and see how that goes for a year, and you're not upsetting anyone? Like, by not doing that, you're always going to upset someone now, and some clubs are upset, and understandably so. So, like, I just get the feeling maybe it could have been avoided. That's all I would say on it, and I don't know if there's an agreement there on that argument, but hindsight is.
Well, I'd say, Kevin, with a 10 team, you'll have 2 divisions of 5, and it's after taking the group of 5 2 weeks longer than the group of 4, and that would be one of the key considerations. I'd say if that was being thrown out there, that was going to be 2 extra weeks that the championship was going to take place. I think anyway. I'm guessing that'd be one of the reasons against it if that was put up.
Yeah, but I suppose we're still going to get a play with the Leinster winners. There's going to be a week. What is it? A week before Leinster Championship? I think most of those games are finishing on the day now, only a bar strange circumstances of replays. And I don't know if we don't want to miss a situation with Leinster boards, because I remember the Blues and Ireland Kilcrews playing in 03 or 04, the day after Ireland Kilcrews won the championship. So I don't know if there's much leeway. So yeah, I take your point. I do accept that and I understand that. So that's another reason, I suppose. But we also had a 12-team championship, didn't we? Going back 9-10 years ago. We went from 12 to 8. I think that's another thing that, having the discussion on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, so the last
12 to 8.
The time the Fighting Cocks won the intermediate was actually the year it got changed, and they had to go to Leinster or whatever. They were being relegated, or they weren't being let up in the first place. Something similar, because the rules were, I don't know what, but they fought their case and they got. No, I think they got relegated the same year anyway. But at least they got up and played their senior, which they fully deserved. They hadn't won a senior or hadn't been in senior for something like 60, 70 years.
Yeah, and that came down to they found something in the rule book, and obviously they got what they felt they deserved, and fair enough. And that could have went to DRA, I think, or maybe I don't know what the highest one. There's all these C's, the more seasoned, and now it's unbelievable. But I don't know, lads. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit more about it either. If the lads do decide, here, hold on now, this is not really fair. Maybe they'll leave sleeping dogs. Like, I don't know, but we can't ignore the fact that it's been a major talking point. over the last few weeks, and maybe there'll be more to come. Maybe there won't.
think there will be.
That's where we're at. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and that's why I'm saying it. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, I mean, obviously the three senior clubs are happy enough with your range. Ballybrannan must be delighted, and the other two clubs, look, if they lose that game, Stevie, as you were saying, now they have a second bite to cherry, even if they lose that. So it's a relegation semi-final for them. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But in terms of Leinster Championships, Naomh are still going on to play Park Rattanesca, which was Park Rattanesca won the junior championship in June. Last year's junior championship was in June of this year, and won intermediate the other night. So they've gone up 2 grades in the space of 4 months or whatever. So Meister will take on them. And Grange, I think Grange are playing Barrowhouse because Barrowhouse have Ballerone in the junior final in Laois. So obviously Ballerone can't represent Laois in that. So that's, I think, the fixtures, the way they're going to lie or whatever. So will we crack on to the senior lads, or any other things to throw out there before we move on?
No.
Happy enough. Okay. So talk to us then, lads. Bindlestown to Ryland. I think we were all going with Bindlestown this one, 1-9 to 1-7. So Tom, I'll come to you first. You give us a bit of a rundown here on how this one went.
Well, it started off like Tinryland in the first half looked to have control of the game, but they never penetrated the Bagenstown backline. Like, you know, they were very hesitant in their forward play. Like, you know, can't understand Paul Broderick, Dermot Walsh out picking up ball around the middle of the field. You know, 2 guys that you would need in close to goal where they could do damage. Like, you know, thought Danny Moran was very good for them. I thought Danny really got in among Bagenstown and it was upsetting them. Like, you know, he was typical Danny. Like, he was niggling them. Like, you know, but Paul Broderick was the main chief scorer for Tinryland. You know, he clipped over a couple of frays and few from play. But he was the main man. Like, so they were lacking more forwards, like, you know, to do the shooting for them. But I'll just give you a bit of a stat on them, if you know, if I have it here somewhere for you. Tinryland, they got 13 shots off, converted 7. Bagenstown 20, converted 10. You know, so you could see, like, I mean, that Bagenstown were getting their forwards more on the ball than Tinryland were, like, you know. So it was disappointing for Tinryland, like, you know, but full credit goes to Bagenstown for their win. Again, workman-like team, worked very hard. Like, their scoring was, I mean, the spread of scores they got, like, was like Shane Clark with 2 points in the middle, Jack McCullough with 3, Jamie Clark got 2, Keane Dial got 1, and then Young Guider came in and he scored the goal. That probably was the difference in the end, like, you know. But full credit to Bagenstown, it was a great win for them.
Chris?
Same. I just thought Bagenstown made a few kind of silly errors in the first half, and allowed a bit of momentum to go to Ryland's there. But I thought in the second half, like we said it before, that I don't think they had a lot of football played coming into championship. And each game I look at them now, they're getting better and better and sharper and sharper. And they picked a few holes. Tinryland were very defensive, dropped back in between the 45. But I thought Paddy and Tommy McDonald down the right-hand side were very good at bringing the play to them. And Tommy McDonald, I think, ended up with a point on the right-hand side at the very end. Yeah. It was a great score. But I was impressed. I was impressed with Bagenstown. Some individual great performances. Like McCullough came out. I think he started at cornerback, and by the second half, he's midfield and big times in the game. Like, he won or broke big ball. I thought Oisin Dillon worked so hard. It was just kind of unfortunate. He was in the right place. He did the right thing, and then when it just came to the last little pass, it was just poorly executed. But like, if he sorted that out, I thought Bagenstown could have been in for another goal or two. I'd worry about their bench. I don't think they have strength and depth that if you come up against a good team to really put on 3 or 4 really good subs. But I definitely think they're on the up, and I think they would have no fear of Rathvilly after playing them the last day as well. I think I think I said it last week, they have the ingredients to do something good.
Steve?
Yeah, queer sort of game. I was in the Stanford and good for Bagnallstown lads around me, and I was talking good for my half time, and they were septic now. They hadn't kicked the ball. Was it 4? How was it half time? 4-2, and it didn't look like they were going to put any sort of a show. Like Jack McCullough kept, Jack McCullough, Shane Clark kicked 5 points in midfield. Robbie Kane, it says the first game I can't remember a senior game he hasn't scored in before. Well, maybe the Rogue one 2 years ago, maybe I can't remember. He probably did score in it, but just they got one rub of the green, and like Gary Clare says, the more I practice, the better I get. The ball came in from a Chunny got a 45 or a free, and it just dropped short. And I think did it happen just before that? I think that's something similar, and Tinrell got away with it. And the next time I just stood there for a second, and fairness to Keelan Guider came in, goal, because Keane Doyle had a chance before that, something similar, didn't get the goal out of it, and they kicked on then, and Jamie Clark kicked 2 points. As you said, Thomas McDonald kicked a great point. Andrew Casey pushed forward a lot more than I've ever seen him pushing forward. No, he wasn't shooting, he was clever enough to give it off to whoever. Back to what Christy said, the first half there, they gave away a couple of silly frees there, and they gave away a quite a lot of frees the first half. In fairness, was behind the Bagnallstown bench, they never opened them out once. Now, they're all our TC, Hamish, Ken Hickey, know them all well. They were very poor the first half, and Paul Broderick, in fairness, first ball he got, kicked it over the bar from about 35 metres out, left foot, curling, great score. Jamie Clark got a similar one then. Chris Nolan in the second game from nearly the very same spot, left foot, beautiful points to be seen. Like Shane Redmond had a very good game now for
great game.
If it was same with the county men, like in fairness to himself and Paul Broderick, they were dragging Tinrell through that game. Then Bagnallstown looked to be out to get 5 points up, to kick a couple of wides where I don't know whether shots should have been taken at all. The wrong lads were getting the shots off. Next when the ball goes down, Dermot Welsh to the goal, and there's only 2 points in it, and it's there's still 3 or 4 minutes left. Next minute, Stephen Amara's in the line, like a Beloba sending the freaking army up. He's pushed up the whole yoke, where before that, they're throwing the kitchen sink at the ball then. I don't know who carried the show, but in fairness, the Bagnallstown were very disciplined. They didn't put any hand on anyone. And just back to the refereeing of it, the first half, Tommy was saying about Danny Moore and, getting in Bagnallstown faces. Himself and Jamie Clark were on the ground there having a good old set to for about 25 seconds, I'd say. And in fairness, no, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but between the linesman and Salt, he didn't see what started it. So generally in that case, you give 2 yellows, and one lad is probably fully deserving of it, and the other lad is maybe not. And he gave neither of them yellow. So, it was a same for both of them, but you might look at if Jamie had been on with Jamie's style of play, if he was in the yellow card for 10 or 15 minutes, is it going to Kirby's play? And in fairness, he didn't give a yellow card, and the game was the better for it again, it was over.
I thought, Stephen, you're right, that Bagnallstown took control of the game, and they were out the gate. I thought kind of this is like last year or the year they got semi-final, like learn from it, like manage the game the last few minutes. If you have to pull down a lad out in midfield, just pull him down, take the foul and reset in your backline. I thought they were just a tad little bit naive in the last 10 minutes, where they should have kind of really solved the game, and Tinryland shouldn't have got that goal. They should have shut up shop and managed the game a small little bit better. That would be just something that if you're looking at the next day and you get in that position, know what to do and manage the game and manage the opposition as well.
Yeah, Tinryland's first wide was about 45 minutes gone again. Tinryland had the wide, the 3 wides, and Bagnallstown had 10. So that tells you 2 things. You might say Tinryland were that bit more efficient, or they should have been shooting more possibly, but the ball wasn't sticking anywhere other than like Broderick got 6 points, I think. Shane Redmond just got his fingers to one that went over the bar, got the one that went over the bar that Broderick had kicked in, and Dermot Welsh only got the goal. So, whereas Bagnestown's forwards, Darren Nolan, Oisin Dillon, Robbie Kane, none of them scored from play. Oisin Dillon, in fairness, got one ball and ran about, say, 50 yards with it there. And if you had a GPS on him, it would have blew up because he was taken off straight away. He was totally gassed. And in fairness, he that's what a lad left in the field and not left in the tank. And he definitely hadn't gone off that time anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll actually talk about the semi-final now, right? Because the next game, the next quarter-final between Pal and Rangers will bring us nicely into Rangers and Éire Óg. So let's talk about Bagnestown and Rathvilly first. The two semi-finals are on Sunday, just to put out there. Bagnestown and Rathvilly 1/2. So we spoke about this fixture literally only 2 weeks ago, was it? 2-3 weeks ago. And we kind of had, some of us were saying we fancy Bagnestown, and I think it was 2-2. Stevie, was you and Tommy said Rathvilly, and me and Chris said Bagnestown that day.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it was.
Yeah.
So where are we now? Because a couple of points in the last meeting. Rathvilly have had that week. Is it a week or 2 weeks? I think it's only a week, isn't it? They've had a week extra, would say off?
A week off.
A week off, yeah. And Bagnestown have had this game, shite conditions, obviously, with a test nonetheless. I don't know if they've come through that completely unscathed in terms of injuries and that. It's kind of one of those things like always happens, and it'll be the same for the other one, even though it's unlikely for the other one. But if Bagnestown go and win, you'll say, oh, look, they had the extra game and it stood to them. And if they lose, you'll say they're tired. And then with Rathvilly, if they lose, you'll say, well, sure, look, they weren't sharp because Bagnestown had a game last week. And if Rathvilly win, you'll say, oh, well, sure, look, they had a week off. These things are thrown out every year. So let's put the bullshit and be honest about things, and which you always are, in fairness. But we'll call it based on the match itself. Take all those factors out of it, because in my opinion, when it comes to game day, even if it is only a week, you can recover for that week anyway if you don't have an injury. If you're sensible about it, and you know as a coach, Tom and Chris, the lads to mind. If a lad comes to you and says, I don't want to train this week, I'm feeling wrecked, you get more out of them by actually not having them train. Obviously, use a bit of common sense. So let's bring it down to the nitty gritty, right? And where is this going to be won and lost? And why is it going to be different from the last day? Obviously, apart from the fact that it's a semi-final. So, Chris, I'll start with you.
Oh, thanks. For me, I thought the last day against Rathvilly, I thought the full back line for Bagnestown looked under severe pressure. Now, I thought Andrew Casey last week or yesterday had an unbelievable game, but I actually thought he looked a bit injured or sick the first day against Rathvilly, and I thought they were under big pressure. I do think Rathvilly are so well seasoned and a great outfit, and they're well able to pick off for scores, and they're fairly potent once they cross the halfway line to get a return on going forward. I just have a niggling feeling that I don't think there's 60 minutes in them. Now, if they bring on the young lads like Pádraig Dearn and Andrew Bulger and that, and they bring a lot of energy, that's brilliant. But I think Bagnestown will be buzzing this week, and beware of a team that have nothing to lose. No, not a lot of people will fancy Bagnestown to come through this semi-final, and I think that's where lies kind of the little nudge for me. I said it last day. I think there's still more in them, to be honest.
Okay, we'll weave back around for the one-word verdicts, right? But we'll give the context first, so we won't ask you to give the verdict straight away or whatever. But just one thing, Chris, that O'Neill chap, was it Conor O'Neill I spoke about? He played against Loughlin Bridge in the junior, and he kicked the
unbelievable.
Is he one of these wild cards? Could we potentially see him come in? Or
I wouldn't have any fear putting him in. I think for me, say if you're looking at a chap like that, is he ready in his head? And if he's ready in his head to take on the challenge, there's no problem whatsoever. It's when you have a lad come on and you don't know what you're going to get. That's where the gamble is. With Conor, you know exactly what you're going to get. He's a level-headed person. He's going to give you everything. And lads, he's fair tall. He's a big unit. And there's not too many of them out there either. Imagine himself and Brendan in midfield. That's Jesus.
Serious prospect. Like, I was so impressed with him that day, and I just think as a wild card, the other way, and generally sometimes maybe in finals we see it more often, and especially at inter-county level. where this guy will come in, a kind of a Walter Walsh job. You know,
But
that sort of way?
I will say as well, Dave Porrick there and there, he started the first 2 games and he came on the other day, and he's another young lad. But he won a big ball there on the 6-yard box, right? He had the maturity and the calmness to kind of, he went inside and looked, see was the keeper on, the keeper wasn't on. He came back out, he got blocked down, he did a jink or two, and he ended up coming back out to the terrace side. He was so level-headed and calm in a really kind of heat of the moment situation, and the game was right there in the furnace, like that. He showed great maturity, not to just kick the ball willy-nilly. Like, so if they're doing them things, the young lads, like, it bodes well for them, because that's where their strength and depth will come from the bench as well. And young lads bring energy, lads. They've no fear in them, which is a great thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, Steve, give us your thoughts on this one.
Regards to Rathvilly have been top of table, top of groups for the last not many years. So extra week or a week off, that's going to make no difference to them. I don't think they'll know what to be doing. Regards, I was just talking to them about Morta Ware, like dominating the other night in intermediate, and Brendan Murphy like is going to be the same for kickouts, and that's just the fact that he's going to, if do the contest kickouts, put Jack McCall on him for kickouts, or did they just let him? That's, I don't know. The last day I wasn't at the last day, so I don't know how to set up. Right, look, you're looking at Robbie Kane. We're hoping is going to get a bit more into it, and like he shipped a heavy tackle yesterday for about 20 minutes over the far side. He recovered well and played well, other than not getting on the score sheet. But they got 5 points in play yesterday from midfield. That's kind of a thing you'd see from Rathvilly, where Brendan Murphy had hit 3 or 4, and you could have Conor Doyle or Alan Kelly or Finnegan or something beside him. That's a kind of a regular cant with Rathvilly. I like to see Jack McCullough getting 3 and Shane getting 2. They'll probably need a couple of scores out like them boys again over the next day, and all 4 or 5 of the forwards. And I don't know whether Alfie is back now or not. He's missed all the games. He went off in the Loughlin game and hasn't been back since. Could hold him back as well. Back to what Christy said as well. Bagnallstown, we would have been saying to start the year, could get to the semi-final. Could say they're in bonus territory now, have a cut at it. This is like you're talking about their as the young lads in the intermediate team. There's plenty of young lads in that Bagnallstown team there. There's Tom McDonald's, Danny Doyle, all these lads. They should have no fear of it. Have a go at it, see what happens. But now, I know there was lads in the stand behind me telling Bagnallstown to show Chester and the 7 or 8 points up, or there were 6 points up. And they did start shooting then. They were saying they were the wrong lads were shooting, and that they'll have to be disciplined as well. Like Keelan Guider started yesterday, justified that, scored a goal. Will he start the next day? Will Alan Beaton start? Or, Keane Doyle only got a point from a free. We're lucky not to get a goal as well. There'll have to be conversion rates that Tinryland had yesterday, but Tinryland's conversion rates were, because they were shooting so little, that they'll have to take the chance when they come, because Rathvilly will be taking them at the other end.
Right, Tom?
Yeah, look, I think first and foremost, Bagnallstown will have to designate somebody to shut down Brian Murphy, and that was the difference the last day between the two of them. Brian just tormented the living soul out of him, so they need to get a guy that can, man mark him, shut him down best they can. Regards, I thought in 2 games I've seen Rathvilly, I thought they looked very exposed at the back. And if Bagnallstown can capitalise on that, getting the likes of Robbie Kane closer to goal, I think, they could gain something out of that, But again, look I know Rathvilly a long time, when they get to a semi-final, they're very hard beaten, and they've been around this long enough to know how to edge it out. But again, to go back to Bagnallstown, I think they have absolutely nothing to lose in this. They need to go at this from the word go. And if they can learn from the previous game against Rathvilly, they're in with a shout. But there's something, lads, that people never really talk about or never, highlight. Brendan Murphy, people talk about Brendan like, he's feeling in the middle of the field. Brendan Murphy is probably one of the best foot passers of a ball I've ever seen. He's a superb kick of the ball, and Brendan doesn't even have to come out of the middle of the field. If Brendan just uses his kick pass, he'd open up a team with a pass. He's a superb foot passer of the ball, around the middle. So McCulloch and these boys are going to have to be on their game, to shut him down, stop the supply of ball going in. If Bagnallstown can do that, they have it. They're in with a chance. The other side of it is, I thought Rathvilly turned over a terrible lot of ball, unnecessary ball, in their previous games. I'm sure their stats will show them that they turn over a terrible lot of ball. So they need to sort that out themselves, But I think, I'm going to put my head on the block, and I'm going to go Bagnallstown.
Big call.
People won't probably, but I just think, look at lads. I mean, championship is championship, and it's there to be won. And Bagnallstown are in a great position now. They have to be buzzing in training. They've been. Their goal was probably to get to the semi-final. Now they're there. Now let's go. Let's take it on another step forward. So they're a dangerous animal for anybody to take in the semi-final. So, and Rathvilly will have to be very, very wary of these boys. So I go for I'll go for Bagnallstown.
I'm going to go for Bagnallstown as well. I'll join you, Stevie.
I know Christie's going for Bagnallstown anyway. Before he opens his mouth, I think.
Christy, are you going for Bagnallstown?
That's not the question.
Christy's going for Bagnallstown. So, Stevie, are you going to be the Rathvilly verdict there?
Tough one. I went from this week. I went against him in the hurling every week and the won. But seriously, the O'Loughlin game, O'Loughlin and Rathvilly had 4 points on the board after about 3 minutes. Bagnallstown have the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes to have to stop that scoreboard by any means possible, and just get a foothold in the game. Don't let them get 3 or 4 points ahead, and you're chasing your tail then, because that's when Rathvilly are at their best. I think it was Tommy said about Brian Murphy. He has to be doctored. That could leave a Kevin Murphy or someone else or Alan Kelly to step up then. But I said it here before, Brian Murphy is the most underrated player that could be in the county, or has been for a long, long time. And you pick up the Nationals, you have to score 4 or 5 points from playing, 3 from frees. That has to be stopped, and that stops out the field. As you said, Jack McCullough, whoever has to stop the Brendan Murphy passes coming in. I'd slight nod for Rathvilly, just going on all known previous form. But yesterday, Jack McCullough was ending up in the end of moves where Robbie Kane was the last day against Ballinarana. I know you're saying about keeping Robbie Kane into close to goal. Yesterday, Jack McCullough ended up in end of moves and kicked 3 points. Mightn't kick him the next step. It could be Robbie Kane doing it, and Robbie, whatever system they had yesterday, they're kind of moving. Jack was kind of, he was in and out, and just to hit 3 points and playing a knockout game is fair going from midfield. As I said, they need that. And Darren Nolan, they need to get more out of him now. They need to get a couple of points out of him as well. They need, out of their front 8, they're going to need 5 or 6 of them by scoring from play if at all possible. And because Rathvilly will be looking at, you'll have Kevin Murphy, Finnegan, Kelly, Brendan, Brian Murphy, Brian Smith. There's 5 of them probably going to score from play anyway, out of them 7. So, and on all form, I go for Rathvilly, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bagnallstown, turn them over. But they'll need to get a good start by hook or by crook, that Rathvilly don't get 3-4 points up and they're chasing their tail in the semi-final. We played, I can still remember 2002, we played Rathvilly. We beat Rogue for the first time ever in the championship, in the quarter final. I guess let's see Darren Leonard's goal going in after, I think it was just before half time, we lost by a goal. I'll never forget it as long as I live. They get a 3 or 4 point lead on you in a knockout game. It's quite hard to get back on them. But I'd give them the slight nod. But Bagnallstown, throw the kitchen sink at it. There's nothing to be feared. But not don't throw it ahead till it has to be thrown ahead. They just have to stay in the game, and if the two Clarks, these boys can drive a team over line, they are, you know, they will die with their boots on. There won't be anything left in the tank for them boys, and you know, it's going to be an intriguing battle because as I said, they played 2 weeks ago. See what Bankstown have learned in the meantime, and you know, we weren't at that. I wasn't at that, so I can't comment on it. But I'm going for Rathvilly, just only on all-known form at the minute.
The hunger has to be in Bagnallstown. There has to be absolute hunger in Bagnallstown for this. You know, they have to be absolute chomping at the bit for this one. Andrew Casey and Andrew against the previous game there, he was very lucky against picking up to Ryan full forward. He was hanging over, he was swinging over him off the ball. Like, you know, he can't do that. You can't do that. Like, I mean, you know, he needs to be clean. He needs to be, you know, keep his hands off a player. Again, whoever's picking up Brian, he'd probably have to get double teamed to stop him getting on the ball. And the other side of it is they cannot afford to be fouling in there. Brian will punish it.
I need to get Danny Doyle forward with more. Now, yesterday he wasn't as prominent as other games. He's a lad I think could have an impact if he's let have an impact going forward. You know, the two McDonalds can make up. You know, they're lethal athletes, and they'll make up headway up and down the field as well. It's just, you know, the spread of scores, and don't be blaming it all the ball, but there's a couple of lads have to pull a few more scores out. They haven't been getting them.
Right,
for
Bagnallstown. We'll move on, lads. We're an hour and 20 into this show, and we still have a quarter final and a semi-final to preview. So, let's talk about Pal and Rangers then from yesterday. So, Minister Rangers 13 points, Palatine 1-7. I think was I the only one who was Rangers last week? I think there was only 3 was on last week. I think we 2 Pal and 1 on Rangers. So, give a little Munster Championship to that one there.
Simple. Cormac Holloway, that's all you need to talk about.
Right, hold on now, actually. It's interesting you should say that because let's have a little look at this again. Thanks to John Nolan. We'll actually play the commentary as well because it's quite good. Just get the volume ready on it. And our microphones are on as well, lads, just to let you know.
The space, chance there for Chris. He'll have a go on his right now. Time pass off. He's through on goal. This is a goal chance for Rangers. Shot, saved by Cormac. Cormac Holloway does well, straight through Gary Kelly was. It's on Byrne, it's on his right foot, this is dangerous. Great stop by Holloway. He saved him again. There's danger here. Eddie Byrne, if he gets a shot off, shows his strength, he's going to get the shot off. And Snack once again. Cormac Holloway saved him into space. Horse doesn't get there. Surely this time Byrne has to. Once again, Snack saves him. But they're so wide open in the back line here, lads. Strong for them. Coming through here, Dermot Byrne. Surely one of these is going to hit the net. Again, Snack saves it. It's back to Joyce. Joyce now, can he get the point at least for them? He does. They're just too physically strong running through the middle. We can't deal with it.
So this is a lad that taught me, what was it, the week before the football championships. Played an old junior game there 2 weeks ago. And he going for the senior championship. 5 1-on-1 save. A serious character actually. If he wasn't playing, we'd have him on here fairly regularly too, because he stole the show tonight up for the match in the hurling. Just hilarious. But like, getting back to the nitty gritty, like that's literally 5 1-on-1s in the first half. So is it fair to say that Rangers should have won this by a lot more?
Should have. Yeah, 100%. Definitely. Yeah. Cormac saved them. You know, from
probably
a big
have the
beating.
clips as well. Like they must have kicked about 7 short as well into the wind. As well.
They dropped 3 short.
Yeah, I don't get that, Chris, to be honest with you, but it's just the snack box show is all I have there.
Yeah.
But like
12-4 on the wides count.
Yeah.
That's a lot of opportunities to be coughing up, like, in fairness. I don't know. What can you say about it, lads?
Rangers had
straight down the middle.
22 shots.
Christy, jump in there and separate them two, will you?
Hey. No, Rangers had 22 shots. Pal had 12. That's the difference.
22 versus 12.
Yeah.
Is that what you were going to say, Steve?
More or less.
Sorry, Steve.
He's only putting his box. More or less. Yeah, so Chris, are you wanting to add to this one?
No, I did think it was desperate weather conditions. It was very cold and very windy, and like one or two kick passes went astray just because the lads weren't used to the wind. I think just got held up a little bit. I think just Rangers look kind of dominant throughout. They're crafty, like, in how to play the game. I thought Conor Fenlon had great joy going up and down the right wing of 5. Gary Kelly's, I think, he's very underrated as a footballer. I think he's a great footballer, a great man to hold the pivot position of 6, and kind of orchestrates lads around him. And what's really nice about him is if he sees that things are slowing down, he's looking to inject pace and come onto the ball at pace, which is really good. Chris Nolan, Ed Byrne, like, she's seen it in there. Fiacre Fitzpatrick is nearly like a little quarterback, to be honest, on the team. He gets on so much ball in there and plays around. And one thing, that, like, it's an underrated, a long fist pass is underrated in Gaelic football, but he made some 20, 25-yard fist passes that were great. He hit one along the ground there with a little bounce on it, fully intentional, and it was a super pass inside. Pal, for me, just never really landed a punch, to be honest. And I suppose the goal got them back in the game, but I just thought it was Rangers all day, really, to be honest.
So a good spread of scorers there from Rangers, it must be said. I think, Steve, I don't know if you have a count on it exactly, but was it 5, 6, 7 scorers maybe?
Ted Price had 4 points.
Yeah, like
Edward had 2.
Statistic, isn't it? In fairness, like when you look at it, and it's mad. Like both teams that lost only scored 1-7 or whatever. Like Jamie Kenny, think got the goal. So what sort of a move was that?
It was a kick out. Dean Grenna's kick out. It wasn't a real bad kick out, but it didn't go high. And Conor Reynolds picked it up, ejected a bit of pass into it, gave the ball across into the corner. It was like a lot of goals Pal got last year that Kenny himself got, a good few of them. Quick hand passes, man running off the shoulder, he got the ball edge of the square, buried it level. Sure, look, you're probably thinking then, our Pal going to kick on? No, there was with the wind. You couldn't underestimate how strong that wind was last night. Yeah. It was a free in the second half. Was it for Mount Leinster Rangers? Someone was holding the ball for lad was kicking it. That was down in the half-hour line for Mount Leinster Rangers. That was the goal. Like, that was the 48th minute to score. No, I think the next score after that, there was the next score could have been John Nolan or Kevin MacDonald. They got free. Chris Nolan looked like he was going to take it about 30 metres out on the stand side. Now, a favourite left forward player, only the wind was that strong, even for left forward, would have just took it away. Next minute, Kevin MacDonald pops up. Here, give it to me. Quick free. Kevin MacDonald's loose, passes it over the bar. Kevin MacDonald was very good yesterday now. Kind of in a mini hurling role that he does, link, man. But straight up the centre, we're going a lot of these balls. We're just giving off, good pass, return. Ted Joyce, Eddie Bourne, 5-6 points between them. Up the middle. Like Horst Lawler come up with the ball in the second half. Horst drew his free like he does over the shoulder. Tried it again twice in the next 5 minutes, got turned over. And at that stage, you just knew Pal wasn't going to be there. But very impressed with Mount Leinster Rangers for leave the shooting aside. They were using the middle third of the field, I would say, as in the width of the goalpost and a bit more, that third of the field. They were doing all their heavy lifting up that way. And Chris Nolan had a great point in the first half off his left out into the breeze. He'd heck to watch John Nolan come on the sub, kicked a great point when he came on. Conor Fenlon kicked a point. It had a good spread of scores. Dermot Byrne only kicked one. That was a 45. But still, like there was no yellow cards being picked up for nothing. Like, in fairness, refereeing the 2 games yesterday, they were let play as much as they could. It was good to see. Like, there was very little free score in any the 2 games. There the most anyone scored. Conor Reynolds got 2 points. Broderick got 3, I'd say, maybe for Tinryland. That was nearly the bulk of the free taking yesterday, so it's good to see that too.
Yeah. So, lads, I'd just like to say a word, for Palatine, because it was a tough year on Palatine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a club.
Was. Yeah.
A lot of tragedies out there, lads. So, I think it's just one of those years for them. So, I think it's a bit unfair if we even talk overly critically of them, just considering the year that's been in it. And sometimes that just happens. From year to year, you can have a bad year. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. So I think they'll be happy to draw a line under it, and I'm happy enough to draw a line under this game as well and move on to the semi-final if you're happy to do so as well. So that semi-final obviously pits Aero up against Munster Rangers. That's the second game on Sunday in Netwatch Cullen Park. 3:30 throw-in for that. As you said, Rathvilly and Bailestown is 1:30 before it. This is a repeat, obviously, of the semi-final from last year, which was played 3 or 4 months ago now on a very fine day. So we're talking about Aerogue as Leinster contenders, and they haven't won the Carlow Championship yet. And everyone's talking about Aerogue as Leinster contenders, on the terraces from every club. And I suppose when you ask this question, it's going to seem a little bit nonsensical or whatever. But if we get a day like yesterday and the piss of rain and the swirling wind, I mean, Munster Rangers are obviously loving this. That's a bit of an equaliser here, even though we're talking about Aerogue as Leinster contenders. Is there don't film? Are you saying there's a chance? But is there a chance? Is there a chance for Munster Rangers here?
Well, if you go to the previous game that the two of them met, Rangers went 4 points to no score up against Aerogue, right? And I thought they were set up very, very well. They were frustrating Aerogue. Aerogue was struggling to get their forwards on the ball. But then it seemed like Rangers decided, look, we can get out and start playing at these boys, and came out and started playing and left holes in their back line, and the Aerogue forwards came into play then and popped over a couple of scores, and before you know it, they were back in front and they never looked back. So Rangers beat Aerogue a few years ago. So they're a team that you need to respect, and you need to be very cautious when you're playing them. They won't fear Aerogue. They won't fear Aerogue in the slightest bit. They'll actually relish an opportunity to play Aerogue. So a lot of people might say that it's Aerogue's game. It'll be a difficult game to get rid of them, So the Rangers have size. They're physically big, strong team, and Better's in at full forward. Mark Fitz will have his hands full with him. If he gets the right ball going in on top of him, he could cause a lot of problems. So it'll be interesting.
Chris?
Tommy just mentioned size. I think teams fall into a trap of thinking Aerogue can be pushed around the place. Few teams come in and try clatter them around the place. They don't come off the better of it. Aerogue are fine big lads, well, they have to handle themselves. And I just think the last day, Tommy, you're right, it was just an arm wrestle in the first half. But then for me, if I said it before, if you shut down the Chris Blake, you're leaving space for someone else to come into, and they will come into it. That's where Rangers are going to have to be on the ball. But lads, make no mistake about it, weather conditions, it's winter football now, and they play a part in it. But I do think, from what I've seen, this is probably the sharpest I've seen Aerogue in the last few years. So Aerogue will definitely respect Rangers. We've never ever had an easy game against them, and I think actually the loss in the semi-final 6 years ago, that's what started the wheels in motion for this bit of momentum and this kick forward that the Aerogue team are on at the moment.
Yeah, Steve, any tuppence word there to try before we go to verdicts and stuff? And
just
to make belt away.
The league game was last year. There wasn't a whole lot in it. Chris Nolan went off injured then, and that's the first time I've seen Chris Nolan playing football since. Be interesting to see if he's able to bring a bit more to the party now. In a game, like, you know, that there wasn't as that was played early Sunday after dinner, as we're saying, different conditions. Now looking at the weather forecast for the weekend, it's not too bad, I don't think, at the minute. Just when they did beat Aero in the quarter final there 5 or 6 years ago, same crack as yesterday. Should be out the gate at half time, and they weren't. They're able to contest games, contend games. They'll have to be taking the chances. If they get 5 goal chances tomorrow in the first half, they want to make sure they're taking 3 of them, because they won't win without them. I can't see. No, don't forget that Pal did cough up them goal chances against the Blues in the last round. So that was the cough up 3 goals in the last 5 minutes. So the goal chances had been kind of a pattern of Pal's play. Errol, I don't know when they've conceded a goal. I don't know when they've had a shot on goal. Could happen now. There could be a minute on next week, and Eddie Byrne gets a ball on the edge of the square and it's a goal. But you'd have to fancy Errol still, like, you know, all known form, will go back to that statement again, which could be rammed down their throat. But
I'll get you a t-shirt with that on all form.
Yeah,
yes,
you know.
definitely.
So look, you go for Errol all day. I think still, but I said, like Kevin McDonald has coming on. You know, as I said, like a Bagginson with the hurling, these boys are getting better every day. They get another game of football under their belt and another week's training. I was very impressed with them yesterday. Let Palby, what they were leaving the scoring end over, but that's going to have to improve big time. You know, there was a lot of shots there in the second half. The wind was blowing over to the far corner there, diagonal, and like they were shooting left forward shots that were the wind was taking out, like, you know, for dinner. And you know, they'll have to shoot like when the shot is on, not just for the sake of it.
I like that one, actually. Down for dinner. That's one of your better ones now. So, like, I suppose the point I'd like to make is, yes, I've touched on it with the winter football and the weather being a factor and all, and I do think, obviously, it is to an extent. But then I think back to the 2019 Leinster Club Final when Aero played Ballyboden and St. Enda's, and what, were ahead 7-6, lost 9-6. Sorry, they were ahead 6-5, wasn't it? And lost 9-6. And I had 6-5 probably with 5 minutes to go on the worst possible day you could ever play a game of football against what proved to be the Leinster champions, right? So when you factor that in a little bit, and there's no 2 games the same, but even if the weather is like that, Aero dominated that game for the most part against opposition that, you know, are far superior than what Leinster Rangers are. So I think, irrespective of what happens, I just feel that maybe they're probably going to win this one. If it's a really, really bad day, maybe only by a couple of points, but I do think they're going to win it. And I'd say I'm joined by 3 others as well. So, Steve, you said Aerog, I think. Chris, you're going with Aerog, yeah?
Yeah.
And Tommy's going with Aerog. But you know it's going to be a battle as well, I suppose. Or do you feel it's going to be a battle, regardless?
Yeah,
Tom,
because
with
Mount Leinster, it's like the Bankstown thing. Like, Mount Leinster will have no fear whatsoever. They'll go and do their thing, like, and like that's where the threat is. The having no fear whatsoever to go out and just give it a crack. That's where the underdog comes in.
Just a question on it, Christy. Sorry to cut across there. Mick Nevin's got in touch and he says, with the 3 semi-finalists from the same group, have Aero really been tested in their group?
Good point.
Maybe not. But back to the Raffili scenario. Raffili and Aero were used to being in semi-finals, top in the groups, and you know they'll know where they're at to try and peak. And it's a valid question for Mick, in fairness. That, you know, you'd be looking at the start of the year, Aero and Raffili would have been the favourite to come over each group, and they've done that, and they'll be planning their year accordingly. But like with Grange playing Loughlin last week, they said that was the boost they needed for the final against Tin Ryland. You know, Aero were talking about him in the Leinster final 2 years ago. But you know, they will give Mount Leinster Rangers the respect they deserve. But I said,
I'm just going to jump across you there for a sec, right? Because one thing that has to be factored, and I'll ask the question first. I'm nearly sure the intermediates for the last week or two were separated from the seniors, I think, lads. Yeah, will you stand over that? Am I right in saying that?
Yep.
In Aero, right?
Yeah.
They're now back with them, and okay, they've probably had a couple of heavy days. Maybe they're over in the clubhouse there again, right? But those in-house games, I'd imagine, are as good a game as they'll probably get when you see who's there and the strength that they have. But Jesus, I'd say they're hot and heavy on games. You know what I mean? So I suppose it's not that they're not getting, games of a decent standard even in-house, because they are. They're absolutely getting games of a decent standard. Like, they're probably, the Dublin team, that not this year, but just say the Dublin team that won the 5 in a row, they're that nearly equivalent. They're going for 5 in a row. And the in-house games that Dubs had as an inter-county side, I think that's tangible to Éireann on a club level in terms of the in-house games. It has to be. So, but Mick makes a very good point, in fairness, like, coming into this one. So I think it is a game of intrigue. I don't think it's a beaten docket, and I don't think the same scoreline is going to be there as the semi-final between them a few months ago. But yeah, that's where it's at. Lads, anything else to add? I just want to get to one or two other things. Any other points on that? No? All done, so? Boys are mad to go to bed like myself. An hour and 40 in. We may split this show into 2 or 3 parts. We'll leave the video up as it is on Facebook, on YouTube, and where else? It's on Twitter there, but we'll put the full episode on Spotify and Apple as well. But maybe during the week we'll chop it up into a few little bits that lads don't have to consume this epic long yoke. The Junior B final is on. What's that? That's on Saturday at 6 o'clock in Cullen Park. That's Bindstown up against Naomh 1. I've heard a little bit about both sides in that. Andrew Beaton is back, I think, for Bindstown playing Junior B football. Andrew Towns is playing Junior B football. Good players. I don't know if I weave around to you for verdicts on that, because I don't know if you know much about it, but just let everyone know that's on. The Junior C final, I don't know when it's on, but the semi-finals were last weekend there, and St. Mullins had a big win over Ballin, and Clonmore had a big win over Tullow. So, St. Mullins and Clonmore in the final, that to be confirmed, and we'll confirm the fixture with O'Hanrahan's and the Blues, Jeremy. O'Hanrahan's and Loughlin when we get wind of that as well. So, all is left to say is just to thank our sponsors, first of all. That is Fitness Formulas. Of course, that's Shane Clark's crowd. Just a new venture, and we wish Shane the very best luck. Fitnessformulas.ie is the website, and what do those guys do? Just to remind you, an online coaching platform who offer tailored training programs to suit your goals, any level range from beginners to elite athletes, giving structured programs delivered to your phone each week, so you have workouts to follow in the gym, and that cuts out the guesswork. So, as we said, fitnessformulas.ie, and we wish them the very best luck with that. We thank them for backing us here as well. So that's it, lads. Nothing else on the agenda. I think we're ready to wrap up, are we?
It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Okay, so Tommy, thanks a million. Chris, thanks a million. Stevie, thanks a million. And to everyone that tuned in, thank you as well. We'll do it all again next week. Take care.